keep your eye on the birdie. Hello, folks. Welcome back to our show reviews. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the 28th book from OG62, entitled The Cuckoo Clock of Doom from Goosebumps. The Cuckoo Clock of Doom, indeed. But before I move on to the front, to the book itself, I'd like to say a few things about the front cover, as I usually do. Okay, so let me tell you straight away, folks, that front cover really intrigued me when I first saw it. It really intrigued me, and I felt like this book sounds really good. You have basically that very old sort of pendulum clock, I guess. That's how they're called. It's pretty old. It's very old. You know, you have the hands of the clock and the how do you call them? Those Roman numerals or whatever they're called. And yeah, it sounds really old. It's mainly made of wood, and yeah, it's kind of an antique clock that maybe some people might have had at some point in their lives, especially if you have grandparents and you happen to visit them or you're visiting them. Maybe they do still own such items in the house. So that's pretty interesting. And basically, you have that big, that long, sort of, kind of like a diving board, really. And perched on top of it is a huge bird. And this bird is mainly yellow. It's kind of like a chick, I guess. And there's something really creepy about the way this bird looks. Like it's blue. Its blue eyes seem to be staring at something, and its long beak, is I don't know, kind of it feels like it wants to peck her at something or to buy something. And man, this bird really looks fantastic. It looks so good. It looks so creepy. And I've got to tell you straight away, because I kind of got fooled at the beginning, but if you're wondering if the bird has something to do with the story, if he's some kind of a villain, then the answer is no. He's not really part of the story. He's just, the pendulum clock bird, I guess you could call him. But yeah, he's not very he's not very involved in the story per se. He's just, but he's there, right? But he's not like, it's not a story about a bird playing mean tricks on people or something like that, or attacking them. Not really. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And the front cover is mainly blue. Yeah, the walls are blue. Pretty much, the whole scene seems to be, yeah, pretty colorful. You have some red, the carpet, the floor, the table. There's a lot of brown also, as you can see by looking at the table. And the clock, obviously, the antique clock, whatever you want to call it. And yes, I really like this choice of colors. Tim Jacobus, again, did an awesome job. And this book really, the front cover is very good. I gotta admit, it's really scary and creepy and intriguing, and it does it all. But what is the story really about? So now I'd like to get into it. After I spoke so much about the front cover, sorry about that. I got a little bit ahead of myself, it seems. But basically, the story is about that kid. His name is Michael Webster, and he's our main character, actually. And he's living in a house, him and his parents, and he has a sister named Tara. And, oh my goodness, Tara, the most spoiled brat I've ever seen in Goosebumps, man. She's such a... She's so horrible. Actually, she's nicknamed Tara the Terrible, and that suits her so well. Like, this nickname fits her like a glove. Oh my goodness, this kid, she's so horrible. Like, she puts her brother Michael through hell, like really, like it's so horrible. She always happens to, get things her way, especially with the parents. The parents are horrible. They're real pain in the neck, because they always side with Tara instead of helping out Michael. And Michael is almost always innocent from what she's accusing from her wild accusations. She's always innocent, like the poor kid. He needs a break, and she's always like, he did this to me, he did that, please dad, mom, punish him. She's awful, really. I'm not a violent person or anything, but man, I wasn't biting my fingers, but I really wanted her to just disappear from the book, right? I felt like this girl needs to go. Like, I don't know, like, maybe the earth should swallow her. The earth should swallow her or something. The earth should swallow her up, or the earth should swallow her up, or she should be, I don't know, like she should get lost somewhere and never come back. Yeah, I really hated her. She's really horrible. And basically, yeah, poor Michael has it really rough with her around. She's always trying to get him into trouble with his parents, with the family, and she doesn't stop, like, ever. And she even wrestles him, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes, and he has to just deal with it and not fight back, because otherwise it would give her another good reason to just go and snitch on him and tell the parents that Michael is being mean to her. Just she would just tell on him, and yeah, he doesn't want that. He's in enough trouble as it is, so he wants to just keep a low profile, for like whenever he can, right? He'd like to keep a low profile whenever he can. But yeah, let's move on. Basically, yeah, Michael is having it really rough. It's his birthday, and Tara's being so horrible. She's doing some real horrible things to him. I don't know how any brother could stand with that, and the parents are just useless. They horrible. They always side with Tara. They always like, you could be a nicer brother. You older brother, you should set a good example. And I'm like, come on, guys. Like, are you for real? Like, it's always Tara who's trying to, do all that, do all those mean things to him, and that's all you have to say. The parents and Tara are real bad characters. But basically, the cuckoo clock comes into the way it comes into the story is pretty interesting, I guess. It's basically the father. I forgot his name. I don't know if it's mentioned anywhere, but basically he's been looking for that clock for a while at an antique store. Yeah, he's going to that antique store, and actually every day he looks at the clock and he wishes he could buy it, and he keeps he every day he's going there to just check it out, and he's like, I'd like to buy it. Maybe you felt the same way about, I don't know, maybe a video game or a movie, or I don't know, some kind of an action figure. You'd always go at the store and you would see it and you would want to buy it, and still nobody has bought it yet. It hasn't been bought by anybody yet, and you feel like maybe today's your chance. And so finally he manages to buy it, and if I'm not mistaken, it is sold to him at a very generous price. But there's a little flaw, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember what it is exactly. Let me try to find it. It is at a store called Anthony's Antiques, by the way. I don't remember exactly what is the flaw. I think it's something about the numbers. Maybe the hand or something. Maybe there's I think there's it skips like an hour or so, or I don't recall, honestly. I don't know. I know it is a tiny flaw that is not really relevant at first, but yeah, it's worth mentioning, I guess. But yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is. But basically, their dad's gonna be really happy about it, and he's gonna put it in his study, if I'm not mistaken, by the wall, by his yeah, in in his study, right? His office or whatever. And basically, he tells his children, both of them this time, not to go anywhere near it. Not to go anywhere near it. Whether it be Michael, Webster, or his sister Tara, he doesn't want them around the clock. And that's really understandable because children would just break anything they can get their children would just break anything they can get their fingers on. So he's like, I'm not gonna take any chance with that beautiful, wonderful clock of mine. I'm not gonna let them, touch it. I'm not gonna let them, look at it without asking me first, for that matter. It's kind of like that, really. Like, if they have to ask me before they look at it, because it's kind of like me in a way. Like he doesn't want his things to get messed up, so he'd rather keep them in a safe place, and he doesn't want the kids to mess around with it. And I really understand him, because children can easily break through. They can easily break anything that is valuable, and not without biting an eye, because it's not important to them, especially an old clock. Who would miss it? In their opinion, of course, not mine. But yeah, that's basically it. And Michael is gonna kind of see it as an opportunity to get his sister into trouble. So he's gonna be like, he's gonna try to do something pretty nasty, to be honest with you, and it's not good, because it's more like the father's punished rather than Tara. Maybe they'd be mad at Tara for a while, but then they would end up forgiving her. That's a bad move, in my opinion. But basically, when the bird pops out of the clock, whenever it is, for example, 9 o'clock sharp, he's gonna grab it, and he's gonna twist its head around, right, so that it points behind it, like it points backward, right? The head, I mean, instead of forward, it would point backward, and so he decides to do that. And that's a really bad move, because what happens is that something is going to happen. And I don't want to spoil it or anything, but it has to do with time. It's kind of like a time travel kind of book. And yeah, I'm going to spoil it a little bit. I'm sorry, I have no choice. But basically, time is going to go backward. So basically, it could be, what's the date today? Friday. So, and the next day it's like Thursday, and then it's Wednesday, and then it's, Tuesday, Monday. So basically, time is going in reverse. And that's basically the premise of the book, that everything is kind of upside down. And it's really weird, because each time Michael is getting younger. At first it's his birthday, and he's reliving the day in which Tara really put him through a lot of hardship, I guess. Yeah, a lot of trials and tribulations. And basically, he's reliving this day, but then he's getting even younger, until he's really young, until he's like a toddler, and he would become like a baby. And basically, it's the journey that is kind of interesting, that I really enjoyed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And the final twist was pretty good. I don't want to reveal what it is, but man, it was so satisfying. So basically, it's kind of like that, the book. I mean, yeah, the bird is kind of, it's not really involved in the book. It's just, yeah, the bird that comes out of the clock. And basically, Michael is going to try to do something about it, because time is going in reverse, and maybe one day he'll end up, disappearing and vanishing, and falling off the face of this earth, because he's getting younger and younger by the day, and that's really scary. And so, like, first he's like 12, and then he's 11, and then he's 10. No, it's much faster paced than that. For example, he could be 10 one day, and the next he's like 7 or 6, and so on and so forth, right? At first he's like, yeah, very like a teenager, and then he's like a kid, and so on and so forth. I think I said it over this book. I'm sorry, I kind of spoiled it a little bit, didn't I? I'm gonna make you I'm gonna write down a comment in which I'll explain to you that it has some spoilers, but I think it's hard not to spoil this book, because it's kind of because it has a lot of things that I would like to mention, to make you want to read the book, and to be completely honest with you, it's more like the journey that is interesting than rather than what happens. It's more like a journey kind of time travel book, and it's kind of like a time loop. The characters are caught in some kind of a time loop, and that's pretty much it. So this book was, in my opinion, one of the weirdest Goosebumps books I've ever read in my life. One of the weirdest Goosebumps books I've ever read in my life. It wasn't a bad book per se, but I wasn't crazy about it. I thought that this time thing was kind of weird, to be honest with you. Especially at some point when he's like almost a baby, like he's a baby literally. I feel like just it's a little bit over the top. This book, it's a little bit too much, too overdone in my opinion. The beginning is kind of okay, but then it kind of the birthday party was pretty good to set things into perspective and what happens there, and Tara being horrible. It was good as the as an introduction to the book itself, but then what happens afterwards, I don't know, I wasn't so crazy about. It's kind of like a weird book. I didn't really enjoy all of it. I thought that some of it was pretty solid, some of it was a little bit weaker, but it's still a pretty enjoyable book, and I really enjoyed most of it. If not, I didn't enjoy like all of it, but I thought that some of it was pretty good and decent. Some of it was just weird and kind of a little bit strange, and I wouldn't say unexplained, but it kind of leaves us wondering what could be happening in there. So it's kind of a weird book. It's kind of a mixed bag. Some of it was pretty good. Some of it was pretty decent. Some of it was kind of weird and funny, and sometimes maybe a little bit over the top, a little bit overdone. But other than that, it was good. Tara is horrible. That's something I really didn't like about the book. She's so awful, and the parents are the same way. Those things I hated about the book, the parents and Tara. And of course, it's funny in a way, but man, she's absolutely horrible. Terrible indeed. The parents are very mean, and the worst, undoubtedly, the worst parents in all of Goosebumps. The worst parents in a Goosebumps book. Yeah. The progression of the book is good, but kind of off at the same time. Like it's kind of too fast paced, and at some point it doesn't make a lot of sense when he's about to become a baby and disappear. And I didn't really love all of it. I just thought it was kind of weird at some point. It's not exactly what I like to call consistent, or like from beginning to end. So it's kind of weird at some point. I just felt like it's a good Goosebumps book for some, but it may seem a little bit off to others. But to end it on a good note, the final twist was pretty satisfying, and I really loved it. And those who have read it know what I'm talking about. So if I were to give that book a rating, I think I'd give it 7 out of 10. It was okay, it was good, but it wasn't that awesome. It was just okay, It's kind of weird and funny, and it's a 7 out of 10, but it's not a real strong 7 out of 10. It's just okay, it's decent, it's whatever. It's not exactly a great Goosebumps book. There's some things that I didn't like I mentioned, but some of it was good. And like I mentioned, I didn't mention that, but you should definitely read it as a kid. If you have kids watching this review, maybe you could, suggest it to them, because it's a good book for kids, in my opinion. Maybe to start on the Goosebumps journey. Why not? It would be better for kids in my opinion, to some extent, because they would get more of they will find more amusing, and they would get more out of it. They would be more interested and invested in the story. So definitely have them read it if they're young kids. So I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, they would maybe like it more and so on, and it might seem more interesting to them and more funnier and more amusing. So, like I said, if I were to give that book a rating, I'd give it 7 out of 10. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, what about you folks? What did you think about the Cuckoo Clock of Doom? Did you like it? Did you hate it? And what's your opinion on this book? Is it a good book? Is it a bad book? Is it your favorite Goosebumps book? Is it your worst Goosebumps book? Please let me know in the comment section down below, folks. I really can't wait to hear to. Let me try that again. I really can't wait to hear about what you have to say on this book. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next review for Monster Blood 3. In the meantime, stay safe. Goodbye. Take care. This Horror Reviews for you signing off. And now I'm going to be reading the summary. Don't beat the clock. Tara the Terrible. That's what Michael Webster calls his bratty little sister. She loves getting Michael in trouble, making his life miserable. Things couldn't get any worse. Then Mr. Webster brings home the antique cuckoo clock. It's old, it's expensive, and Mr. Webster won't let anyone touch it. Poor Michael. He should have listened to his dad because someone put a spell on the clock. A strange spell, a dangerous spell, and now Michael's life will never be the same again.